Hey, hi, I'm Chris. Welcome back to my channel. Every day I do a vlog. I'm doing one for 1,000 days, guys. Yep, 1,000 days. So if you're not subscribed, a subscribe will be absolutely awesome. So thank you so much. And today, well, actually this week, I felt a little bit invisible. I don't know if you've ever felt this. I'm sure there have been occasions where you might have. I was in a group of people and this chap wouldn't have eye contact with me. He was engaging everybody else. I was asking questions and he just completely blanked me. Now, he's somebody I see on a regular basis. There are times when I do force the conversation and we do have a very adult conversation. He doesn't really respond to any friendly quips that I make or any friendly gestures. Somebody who's completely switched off to me and my approach to life, which is fine. But it just makes me feel invisible. And I'm just wondering, is that something that you have happen an awful lot? I know I felt a little bit uncomfortable every time I see him now, because I just expect the invisibility cloak to be on. And the fact that he doesn't even really look at me in the eyes. He doesn't really engage with me. And I find that just very strange. Yeah, it is in a professional capacity. So I try to wrap my head around the fact that everybody has issues, there's problems maybe, but I'm as fair and reasonable as I can be with people. But I do find it a little bit sort of strange that somebody treats you like you're invisible, and that is a little bit odd. I think my first initial reaction was to think he's actually being quite rude and not very nice. But then I thought, well, actually, I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. Maybe, he's heard something or he's feeling something and doesn't feel able to sort of communicate and talk about that. And that's okay. People are people at the end of the day. But it was this incredible feeling of being invisible. Now, on one occasion, like I say, I was in a group of people with him. And being in that group of people, they noticed it. They said, he doesn't look at you, Chris, does he? And any questions you asked, he directed it back to the rest of the group and not you. So I have spoken to him and asked is everything okay. He reassures me and says, yeah, everything is okay. Not that I need reassurance, but I just need to sort of make sure that I've not inadvertently upset the chap. But it's a feeling that people can make you feel invisible sometimes, and that is very, very sort of I don't know. It makes me feel a little bit unnerved. I don't need to be noticed. Trust me, I really, really don't need to be noticed. And it's just the response I think that he gives off. And that just sort of puts me a little bit on edge. And I think if you recognise that, if you say to yourself, well, there are people who are going to behave that way and just react to you that way, then that's just him per se. That may be his persona, but I've seen him act with other people in a different way. But it's a feeling of invisibility. And yeah, I can't think of too many times in my life where I've actually felt like I've had an invisibility cloak on. But yeah, I certainly don't feel invisible today. I've got to switch the camera around and show you this view I'm looking at. Look at that, guys. There we are. This is the place where I live. Look at those boats and look at this. But just going back to the feeling of feeling a little bit invisible today, I guess when you have to deal with somebody on a regular basis, though, it's not all the time that he's done this, but he's done it quite a few times. I wanted to sort of maybe sit down with him, maybe on a more personal one-to-one level, and see if there's any issues at hand. But people can make you feel invisible in many other ways, can't they? Somebody said to me the other day that they felt invisible in their relationship, that they shared very little in common with the person they are in a relationship with, in a romantic way. But they meet on so many other levels. They have little in common, but they sort of connect in certain ways, which keeps the relationship fueled, if that makes sense. And I guess some people really need to have a connection where it gives them the freedom to be who they want to be, where they spend maybe 90% of the time away from that relationship. So the feeling of invisibility in that relationship doesn't necessarily have great prominence, but they've got enough invisibility where they can just be them and still be connected in a relationship. I guess there is the security element, knowing that somebody is there and you've got somebody at hand that can help and listen, and all those wonderful things that you get when you're in a relationship. Not all the time, mind, but maybe most of the time. So if you're feeling invisible in a relationship, there may be some issues. You may need to sort of address that and deal with that. But generally in life, I guess I was thinking about the people who do feel invisible in life. And that can be anybody at any given time, I accept that. But I think older people, the older you get, younger people tend to sort of maybe put you to the wayside, not give you too much consideration. It's very easy if you're on your own and elderly to be considered as invisible. And that's a shame, isn't it? Because everybody has value. Everybody has something unique that they bring to the table, and I think that's important. It's important to not be invisible. It's important for everybody to be seen, to be heard, to have that presence in life here, and to be invisible, to not have any communication with anybody on a weekly basis, to really only have a conversation with people that you see down in the supermarket. That's a shame, isn't it? That really is. And the feeling that it gives you, I think, is that maybe you feel like you don't matter, when in actual fact you've got an awful lot of skills. The older you get, I think, you've got loads of skills that you bring to the table. Communication skills, or maybe skills like you're a plumber, an electrician. You still dabble and do all these kind of things. So everybody has value. Everybody has value. Everybody has a skill that the next person hasn't got. I've always maintained that. I've always thought that. And being invisible, yeah, I guess it's very easy. There are some people probably here in the UK that don't end up speaking to very many people during a day or a week or a month even. And that's a shame, isn't it? It really is. A feeling like you don't matter. That's it, isn't it? That's it. We all like to feel that we matter in some way to someone somewhere, and that's a feeling that you just want to have nurtured. I don't know how many people, I think actually I've read a statistic where it said for people who live alone, they don't live as long as if you're in a relationship or as a couple, and maybe you're living on your own. That can be a source of feeling invisible, not really connecting with anyone, and that's why I guess people have pets, don't they? They feel that they've got somebody there, something there that they can just sort of have that connection with, and it's a real feeling invisible. So but some people make that feeling really obvious. Like I've said, I've connected with this chap several times, but his resistance to look at me and answer my questions directly to me when I'm in a group of people, he doesn't really engage with me in a lot of ways. So maybe it might be that there might be some inferiority there, or there might be some issue where he feels that he can't. But I'm certainly thinking it's going to be worth maybe the prospect of sitting down, having a conversation, and maybe doing the best that we can as grown adults to communicate where we don't feel or have that feeling. And he's always respectful, I will say that, and he is a gentleman in many, many ways, and I try as always to see the best in people if I can. But it's, you don't always remember what people say, but you remember how they make you feel, and he just makes me feel invisible, feeling invisible. And like I say, I don't think there's been too many times I've had that in my life. But you never know. Everybody's fighting a war you know nothing about, and there may be an overriding issue that this chap has. And I hope if he does have something, that he's able to get past it and be successful and succeed in life, because that's the main thing, isn't it? I'm going to leave you with this view because I live here and it's a beautiful place and the sun is out and the sky's looking great, and look at those boats. It's lovely. I'm definitely going to get out on a boat this year and take a trip out to Drake's Island, have a coffee on the island, and you can be sure I'm going to bring you with me. It's going to be lovely. And of course I've got my dream of getting out onto the Mewstone Island over at Wembury Beach and getting to the top of that island and flying my drone around. I've got to realise that dream this year. I've got to do it. Got to do it, guys. Anyway, thanks so much for subscribing and following along. I'll be back again tomorrow with a completely different vlog, and all that's left to say is I'll see you then. Thanks a lot. Bye now.